Lieutenant Daniel Carter had never seen anything like the ship that loomed before him. His small patrol vessel looked like a toy next to the massive alien craft. Its hull shimmered with a strange purple-green light that seemed to move like water. "Control, this is Patrol Ship 7. I found something unusual," Daniel said into his radio. Only static answered him. Before he could try again, a bright light shot out from the alien ship. Daniel's controls stopped working. His ship moved toward the larger vessel without him doing anything. He was being pulled in. "This is not good," he muttered. Inside the alien ship, the air smelled sweet and strange. 4 tall insect-like creatures surrounded Daniel. They had 6 limbs, each shiny exoskeletons, and large compound eyes that reflected Daniel's scared face back at him many times over. "Human captured as ordered," one of them clicked to another. The words came out in English from a small device on their chest. "Taking to Commander Vexilla now." They led Daniel through curved hallways with walls that seemed alive, pulsing with light. The ship was enormous, with hundreds of the insect aliens moving about with purpose. Commander Vexilla was waiting in a large room. Unlike the others, her exoskeleton had blue markings and she stood a full head taller. Her compound eyes fixed on Daniel with unnerving focus. "So this is a human," she said, her translation device making her clicks and whistles into words Daniel could understand. Smaller than expected. Daniel stood straight. "Lieutenant Daniel Carter, Earth Space Navy. I demand to know why you've taken me prisoner." The aliens looked at each other, their antennae twitching. Vexilla moved closer. "Your kind enters Zeltheri space without permission. We study you before deciding." "Deciding what?" Daniel asked. "If humans are threat or resource," Vexilla answered simply. Daniel tried to stay calm. "We can talk peacefully. Earth would welcome diplomatic relations." The translation device on Vexilla's chest made a strange buzzing sound. Her posture changed instantly, her limbs stiffening. "You dare suggest the Zeltheri Queen consumes her own larvae?" she hissed, antennae quivering in what Daniel somehow knew was anger. "What? No. I said nothing about your queen or larva," Daniel protested. The other Zeltheri in the room backed away. Daniel realized his words had been badly mistranslated. "I think there's a problem with your translation device," he said carefully. Vexilla made a series of rapid clicks. The device translated. "You question our superior technology. You compound your insult." Daniel raised his hand slowly. "I'm trying to avoid misunderstandings. Maybe we should start over." He tried a different approach. "I come in peace. My people wish only to learn about yours." The device buzzed again. Vexilla's color darkened to a deep purple. Even without understanding Zeltheri body language, Daniel could tell this was very bad. "You speak of examining our bodies for weakness. Unacceptable." Vexilla's mandibles clicked rapidly. She towered over Daniel, all 6 limbs now in what looked like a fighting stance. Daniel stepped back. "No, that's not what I meant at all." Vexilla pointed at him with her upper right limb and made a commanding series of sounds. The translation device produced words that made Daniel's eyes widen. "Shut up, human. Get into my bed now." The guards grabbed Daniel's arms. He struggled, confused and alarmed. "Wait, there's been a mistake," he shouted as they dragged him away. One of the smaller Zeltheri leaned toward another. "The resting thought chamber has been prepared as Commander ordered." Only then did Daniel realize bed must be another mistranslation. They were taking him to some kind of cell or chamber, not the commander's personal quarters. As the door to a small room hissed open, Daniel understood his situation was both less awkward and more dangerous than he'd first thought. This wasn't about alien romance. It was about alien justice, and he had apparently committed a terrible offense without even knowing it. The door closed behind him with a final sounding click, leaving him alone with nothing but his thoughts and a growing fear about what the Zeltheri might have planned for him. The resting thought chamber looked nothing like a normal cell. The walls glowed with a soft blue light. In the center was a large oval platform covered with something like gel. Daniel touched it carefully. The surface felt cool and slightly firm, like memory foam but alive somehow. He guessed this was the alien version of a bed. "I'm supposed to sleep here," he wondered aloud. He was tired. Fighting would do no good now. Maybe if he rested, he could think more clearly. Daniel lay down on the strange bed. The gel shaped itself around his body perfectly. "At least it's comfortable," he muttered. As soon as he closed his eyes, Daniel felt a strange tingling in his head. The sensation grew stronger. His military training kicked in. Something was wrong. This wasn't just a bed. It was doing something to his mind. Daniel forced his eyes open and sat up quickly. The tingling stopped. He looked more carefully at the room and noticed tiny lights pulsing in the walls. A neural scanner, he realized. "They're trying to read my thoughts while I sleep." On Earth, Daniel had gone through special training to resist mind probes. It was standard for high-ranking officers in case of capture. He never thought he'd actually need to use it. Daniel lay back down and pretended to fall asleep. The tingling returned. This time, he allowed it while using his training to block the probe. Instead of fighting it completely, he guided it toward memories he didn't mind sharing. Basic training, Earth foods, simple conversations. Nothing about military secrets or Earth's defenses. As the probe dug deeper, Daniel did something unexpected. He pushed back, following the connection to its source. Suddenly, his mind filled with strange symbols and images. The Zeltheri computer network. Daniel couldn't understand most of it, but he recognized maps and ship layouts. He focused, memorizing what he could before breaking the connection. Meanwhile, Commander Vexilla watched data flow on a large screen. Another Zeltheri stood beside her. "The human's brain patterns are unusual," said the scientist. "They shift and adapt constantly." Vexilla studied the screen. "What information have you gathered?" "Very little of use. Simple memories only." The scientist sounded frustrated. "It's as if he's resisting somehow." "Impossible." Vexilla clicked. "No species has ever resisted the thought extractor." She watched recordings of Daniel's memories. Earth sunsets, ocean waves, a human smiling. Vexilla found herself strangely drawn to these images. Humans seemed to experience emotions differently than Zeltheri. A communication panel lit up. A larger Zeltheri with red markings appeared on screen. "High Commander," Vexilla said with respect. "Your report on the human is concerning." The High Commander said, "Their unpredictability makes them dangerous. The Council has decided. Terminate the specimen immediately." Vexilla's antennae twitched slightly. "With respect, High Commander, we've barely begun our research. The human might have valuable information. Are you questioning orders?" The High Commander's voice was cold. "No, High Commander. I will comply." Vexilla bowed her head. After the communication ended, Vexilla stood silently. Something about this human intrigued her. His mind worked differently than any species they had encountered. Such adaptability could be valuable against the Morgrath threat the Council wasn't addressing. She made her decision. She would delay the termination order, just long enough to learn more. Back in the chamber, Daniel had discovered how to control his breathing to minimize the neural connection. Each time the probe activated, he gathered more information about the ship. He learned about the Zeltheri hierarchy, their communication systems, and most importantly, their weapons. Daniel didn't know why he had been captured or what would happen next, but he was gathering intelligence and staying alive. For now, that was enough. What he didn't know was that his unusual resistance had already caught Vexilla's attention, and possibly saved his life. Daniel woke to a loud alarm blaring through the ship. Red lights flashed in his chamber. Something was wrong. The door to his room suddenly slid open. 2 young Zeltheri guards rushed in, their movements panicked. "What's happening?" Daniel asked. The translation device of one guard buzzed. "Ship under attack. Morgrath vessels. 3 of them." Before Daniel could ask more, a massive explosion rocked the ship. The force threw all of them against the wall. One guard hit hard and didn't move again. The second guard tried to stand but clutched at an injured limb. The ship rocked again with another explosion. Daniel made a quick decision. He could try to escape in the chaos, or he could help. The injured guard looked at him with fear in those alien eyes. "I can help," Daniel said slowly, pointing to himself, then to the guard. "Let me help you." The guard hesitated, then nodded. Daniel helped the injured Zelthari up. Together, they moved into the corridor. Bodies of wounded Zelthari lay everywhere. Something had torn through the ship. "What are Morgrath?" Daniel asked as they moved. "Enemy." The translation device clicked. "Want to destroy all. Hive mind. No mercy." As if answering, 3 large figures rounded the corner ahead. They looked nothing like the Zelthari. These creatures were bulky with thick gray skin. They had no eyes that Daniel could see, just sensors on their heads. Each carried a weapon that glowed green. "Morgrath boarding party," the guard whispered. "We die now." But Daniel wasn't ready to die. He noticed a broken piece of metal on the floor. In one quick motion, he grabbed it and threw it down the opposite hallway. It clattered loudly. The Morgrath turned toward the sound. Daniel pushed the injured guard into a small side room and followed quickly. The Morgrath moved past them, following the noise. "Smart trick," the guard's device translated. More explosions shook the ship. Daniel and the guard made their way toward what Daniel hoped was the command center, based on ship layouts he had seen in the neural link. They found Commander Vexilla there, directing defense efforts. Dead and wounded Zelthari were everywhere. When she saw Daniel free and helping a guard, her antennae stiffened in surprise. The human escaped confinement. One officer clicked in alarm. "I'm helping," Daniel said quickly. "Your people are dying. I can fight." Another explosion rocked the ship. Status screens showed 3 more Morgrath boarding parties entering different sections. Vexilla made a quick decision. "Give him comm device," she ordered. A working translation unit was handed to Daniel. "Morgrath fight in perfect order," Vexilla explained. "Always same patterns. We cannot stop." Daniel understood immediately. That's their weakness. They don't adapt. Humans are good at being unpredictable. "Show us," Vexilla challenged. Daniel quickly outlined a plan. The Zelthari were shocked by his suggestions, changing light levels to confuse the Morgrath sensors, making noise in unexpected places, attacking from multiple angles instead of head-on. "This breaks all combat protocols," one officer protested. "Exactly," Daniel said. "They won't expect it." With no better options, Vexilla approved the plan. Daniel led a small team through the ship, setting traps and creating distractions. The Morgrath, used to fighting ordered battles, became confused when faced with seemingly random attacks. From a side passage, Daniel watched as Vexilla personally led an attack on a group of disoriented Morgrath. Her fighting skill was impressive, but one Morgrath soldier came up behind her, weapon raised. Without hesitation, Daniel rushed forward and tackled the alien. They rolled on the floor, the Morgrath's strength nearly crushing him. But Daniel fought dirty, targeting joints and weak spots. He managed to turn the Morgrath's weapon against it. When the fight ended, the remaining Morgrath retreated to their ships. The Zelthari had won. Vexilla approached Daniel, who stood breathing hard among the defeated enemies. "You saved my life," she said, her translator making the clicks sound almost soft. "That's what allies do," Daniel replied simply. For the first time, Vexilla looked at the human not as a prisoner or a curiosity, but as something new, a potential ally. The Zelthari ship limped through space, its engines damaged from the attack. Daniel sat in a room that was no longer a cell but not quite guest quarters either. He had been given limited access to ship systems as a reward for helping fight the Morgrath. The door opened and Commander Vexilla entered. Her blue markings seemed duller than before, a sign of exhaustion Daniel had learned to recognize. "The council wants to speak with you," she said through her translator. Daniel followed her to the command center. A large screen showed 5 elder Zelthari with elaborate markings. They studied Daniel with their compound eyes. "So this is the human who fought like a chaos storm," one said. Vexilla stood straight. "This human saved many lives, including mine. His unusual tactics confused the Morgrath." "Unusual indeed." Another elder clicked. "We have reviewed the battle recordings. Humans fight without patterns. It makes no sense." Daniel spoke carefully. "We call it adaptability. Humans are good at changing plans quickly." The eldest Zelthari leaned forward. "Human, do you know why the Morgrath attacked this ship specifically?" "No," Daniel answered honestly. "They were hunting you." The elder's words made the room go silent. "Our intelligence reports show Morgrath ships have attacked 3 human outposts in the last cycle. They are targeting humans." Daniel felt cold. "Why? We've barely started exploring beyond our solar system." The Zelthari showed images of destroyed human settlements. "The Morgrath fear what they cannot predict. Their hive mind works through perfect order. Your kind's thinking threatens that order." Another elder spoke. "We have long observed humans from afar. Your species thinks individually, not collectively. You create art, music, war strategies that follow no logical pattern. To the Morgrath, this is dangerous." Daniel thought of the human colony ship that had left Earth 6 months ago. "There's a human colony near Sector 7. Have you heard anything from them?" The elders looked at each other. Communication silence for 3 cycles. "We fear the worst." Before Daniel could respond, the door burst open. A high-ranking Zelthari entered, pointing at Vexilla. "Commander Vexilla stands accused of disobeying direct orders," the newcomer announced. "She was ordered to terminate the human specimen, but kept it alive. Now she allows it in our command center." Vexilla's antennae dropped slightly. "I take full responsibility for my actions. The penalty is demotion and isolation," the accuser continued. Daniel stepped forward. "If she had killed me, many of your people would be dead now. My unpredictable human tactics saved your ship." The human speaks out of turn. The accuser clicked angrily. But Daniel continued. "You need humans, and we need you. The Morgrath are attacking both our peoples. Together, we might stand a chance." The elders conferred among themselves. They're clicking too fast for the translator to keep up. Finally, the eldest spoke. "Commander Vexilla's actions, while against protocol, proved beneficial. The human speaks truth. An alliance may be logical." The accuser's antennae vibrated in shock. "An alliance with primitives. Impossible. Adaptable, not primitive," Daniel corrected. "The Morgrath fight with perfect order. We bring the unexpected. Together, we're stronger." The eldest Zelthari studied Daniel. "Your chaotic thinking has merit, but the council must consider carefully. For now, Commander Vexilla will retain her position. The human will remain as consultant." After the meeting, Vexilla walked with Daniel through the ship. "You defended me," she said. "Why?" Daniel smiled. "Like I said before, that's what allies do." Vexilla's head tilted. "Human emotions are complex. Our species is logic-based. We do not understand your kind's decisions. Maybe that's why we need each other," Daniel suggested. "Your logic and our creativity. The Morgrath won't expect that combination." For the first time, Vexilla made a sound that Daniel's translator interpreted as laughter. "No," she agreed. "They certainly will not." The Zelthari diplomatic vessel dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Earth. It was smaller than a warship, but still impressive. Daniel stood on the bridge beside Commander Vexilla, looking at the blue-green planet on the main screen. "Home," he said simply. Vexilla's antennae moved gently. "Your world has much water. Zelthari prefer dry places." The ship's communication system activated. A stern human voice came through. Unknown vessel. This is Earth Defense Station Alpha. Identify yourself immediately, or we will open fire. Daniel stepped forward. This is Lieutenant Daniel Carter, Earth Space Navy, service number 47,829. I'm aboard a Zeltheri diplomatic vessel. We come in peace and with urgent news. There was a long pause. Lieutenant Carter was reported missing in action 3 weeks ago. The voice finally said, "Sending verification protocols." After Daniel completed the security checks, they received landing coordinates. The Zeltheri ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, landing at a military base in the Nevada desert. Armed soldiers surrounded the ship as the doors opened. Daniel walked out first, followed by Vexilla and 3 other Zeltheri representatives. The humans stared at the insect-like aliens with a mix of fear and curiosity. A woman with admiral stripes stepped forward. "Lieutenant Carter, welcome back." "Admiral Kelly," Daniel saluted. "May I present Commander Vexilla of the Zeltheri Collective. They've come to propose an alliance against the Morgrath." The Admiral looked at the tall alien with caution. "We've lost contact with our colony on Proxima Centauri B. Was that the Morgrath?" Vexilla's translator clicked. "Most likely. The Morgrath see humans as their greatest threat. They attack all they fear." Inside the base, human and Zeltheri leaders gathered around a large table. Maps and star charts covered the screens. Admiral Kelly listened as Vexilla explained the Morgrath threat. "Why should we trust you?" the Admiral asked. "Lieutenant Carter was your prisoner." "A misunderstanding," Vexilla said. "We have much to learn about each other." Daniel added, "The Morgrath are the real enemy, Admiral. They targeted me specifically because I'm human. They fear our unpredictable thinking." As the discussions continued, tensions remained high. Humans kept their hands near their weapons. The Zeltheri's antennae twitched nervously. Then came the moment they had prepared for. Vexilla stood to make the formal alliance proposal. Her translator activated as she spoke the ceremonial words. "The Zeltheri Collective extends its protection and resources to humanity. We offer our technology and strength in exchange for your creative tactical assistance." But the translation came out wrong. "Humans will submit to Zeltheri guidance and provide their bodies for our research. Your minds belong to us now." The room erupted in anger. Human security forces raised their weapons. The Zeltheri guards moved to protect Vexilla. "Stop," Daniel shouted, jumping between the two groups. "It's a translation error." He grabbed Vexilla's translator device and adjusted some settings he had learned during their journey. "Try again," he told her. Slowly. Vexilla repeated her offer, and this time the translation was correct. The humans lowered their weapons slowly. Admiral Kelly shook her head. "That's twice miscommunication nearly caused a disaster. How can we form an alliance if we can't even talk properly?" "That's exactly why the alliance is necessary," Daniel explained. "We need to learn from each other. The Zeltheri bring order and advanced technology. We bring adaptability and creativity. Together, we're stronger than either alone." Vexilla added, "The Morgrath are counting on our differences to keep us apart. They fear our cooperation more than anything." As the tension in the room slowly eased, Admiral Kelly nodded thoughtfully. "We'll continue these talks," she decided. "Lieutenant Carter, you'll serve as our primary liaison with the Zeltheri." Daniel looked at Vexilla, who gave the slight antennae dip he now recognized as agreement. Their alliance had taken its first fragile step forward. 1 month after the Earth meetings, a joint human-Zeltheri rescue fleet approached the Proxima Centauri system. 3 human ships and 2 Zeltheri vessels moved quietly through space. Daniel stood on the bridge of the lid ship beside Commander Vexilla. Both wore combat armor. "Scanners detect Morgrath vessels around the colony planet," reported a human officer named Sam. Admiral Kelly's face appeared on the main screen. "Remember the plan. The Zeltheri ships will distract the Morgrath while our smaller vessels land at the colony." Daniel nodded. "Commander Vexilla and I will lead the ground team." The mission began. The large Zelthari ships engaged the Morgrath in space battle, while the human vessels slipped past toward the planet. Explosions lit up space behind them as they entered the atmosphere. They landed 2 miles from the colony, hidden by thick forests. Daniel led 20 humans and 10 Zelthari through the trees. They moved slowly, sensors scanning for enemies. "I'm picking up human life signs," whispered a Zelthari scientist. "Weak but present." They reached a ridge overlooking the colony. What they saw made Daniel's stomach turn. The once beautiful settlement was now surrounded by strange black structures. Morgrath guards patrolled the area. Between the buildings, humans worked like slaves, connected to machines by tubes and wires. "What are they doing to them?" a human soldier asked in horror. The Zelthari scientist studied his scanner. "The Morgrath are extracting brain patterns. They're trying to understand human creativity." Vexilla's antennae twitched with anger. "They seek to add human unpredictability to their hive mind. It would make them unstoppable." Daniel studied the colony through binoculars. "We need to disable those machines first, then free the captives." They split into 3 teams. Daniel and Vexilla would lead the main assault while the others attacked from different directions. As they moved into position, a Morgrath patrol appeared suddenly on their path. The battle was quick but loud. Though they defeated the patrol, the noise alerted the colony. Alarm sounds filled the air. The Morgrath began moving captive humans into underground bunkers. "We've lost surprise," Vexilla said. "We need a new plan." "We adapt," Daniel replied, thinking quickly. "Your team created diversion at the main entrance. My team will find another way in." As Vexilla led her Zelthari soldiers in a frontal assault, Daniel took 5 humans around the back of the colony. They found a drainage pipe large enough to crawl through. Inside the colony, chaos reigned. The Morgrath, used to perfect order, struggled to respond to attacks from multiple directions. Daniel's team fought their way toward the central building, where the brain-scanning machines were located. A massive explosion rocked the colony. Daniel's team was separated when a wall collapsed. He found himself alone in a corridor with 2 Morgrath guards approaching. As he prepared to fight, the wall beside him burst open. Vexilla charged through, taking down one guard while Daniel fought the other. "I thought you were at the main entrance," Daniel said. "I adapted," Vexilla replied, using his own word. Together, they reached the central chamber. Inside, they found something unexpected. A group of humans who had broken free from their restraints. These survivors had been fighting back using makeshift weapons. An older man stepped forward. "Name's Joe. We've been sabotaging their operations from the inside for weeks." "How did you resist the mind control?" Vexilla asked. Joe smiled grimly. "We gave them what they wanted. Creativity, just not the kind they expected. We thought of music, art, nonsense rhymes. It confused their systems." Daniel understood immediately. "You overloaded them with unpredictability." "Exactly," Joe said. "They can't process it. Their hive mind expects patterns." Suddenly, the building shook. The Morgrath were regrouping, bringing in reinforcements. "We need to get these people out," Daniel said. Vexilla looked at the survivors. These humans fought from within while imprisoned. Remarkable. As they planned their escape, Daniel realized something important. The human spirit of resistance, combined with Zelthari tactical precision, might be the key to defeating the Morgrath once and for all. Alarms blared throughout the colony. Daniel, Vexilla, and the freed human survivors huddled in the central chamber, planning their next move. "The Morgrath will seal all exits soon," said Joe, the leader of the survivors. "They always follow the same protocol when they lose control of a situation." Daniel turned to Vexilla. "That's it. Their predictability is their weakness." Vexilla's antennae twitched with interest. "Explain." "The Morgrath fear human unpredictability because it disrupts their hive mind," Daniel said. "What if we use that against them? Create so much chaos in their communication system that they can't coordinate." Joe nodded. We discovered something while captive. The Morgrath connect to their hive mind through those antenna structures on their heads. They can't function without clear signals. A young woman named Lisa spoke up. I worked on the colony's communication system. If we can access the main transmitter, we could broadcast a signal that would interfere with their hive connection. What kind of signal? Vexilla asked. Lisa smiled. Human music, poetry, jokes, random thoughts, all the unpredictable things they can't process. Their translation systems would try to make sense of it and fail. Vexilla looked uncertain. This plan has no logical structure. Our military protocols would never allow such a risky strategy. Everyone looked at her, waiting. Daniel held his breath. Finally, Vexilla's antennae straightened with determination. But that is exactly why it might work. We will try the human way. They quickly formed teams. Lisa and 2 Zelthari technicians would work on the broadcast system. Joe would lead the remaining survivors to the landing ships. Daniel, Vexilla, and the soldiers would create distractions throughout the colony. As they moved out, Morgrath forces closed in from all sides. Daniel and Vexilla fought side by side, their different combat styles somehow complementing each other perfectly. Where Daniel was unpredictable and creative, Vexilla was precise and calculated. They reached the colony's communication center. While they held off Morgrath attackers, Lisa worked on the system. Ready, she called finally. What should we broadcast? Daniel thought quickly. Everything. Human music, jokes, poetry, all mixed together. Lisa typed commands into the console. The colony's speakers, normally used for announcements, burst to life with a cacophony of human culture, rock music blending into Shakespeare, children's nursery rhymes mixing with math problems, all playing simultaneously. The effect on the Morgrath was immediate. The soldiers at the door began moving erratically, their coordinated attacks falling apart. Some dropped their weapons, clutching at their head sensors. It's working, Daniel shouted over the noise. They can't handle the randomness. Throughout the colony, Morgrath forces fell into disarray. Without the hive mind's guidance, they couldn't function as a unit. The human Zelthari teams quickly gained the upper hand, freeing the remaining captives and securing escape routes. As they boarded the rescue ships, Daniel watched the colony growing smaller below them. The Morgrath fleet in orbit had also fallen into confusion, allowing the Zelthari warships to drive them back. On the journey home, Daniel found Vexilla on the observation deck, looking at the stars. The Zelthari High Council has requested of a permanent alliance with humans, she said. They recognize now that our differences are strengths when combined. Daniel smiled. From prisoner to ally. We've come a long way. Vexilla turned to him. I have been studying human humor. May I attempt a joke? Please do, Daniel encouraged. Vexilla straightened formally, then said through her translator, Shut up, human. Get into my bed now. For a moment, Daniel stared at her in shock. Then he burst out laughing as he recognized the reference to their first disastrous translation error. Vexilla's antennae wiggled in what Daniel now recognized as pleasure. The joke was successful. Very, Daniel assured her, still laughing. It's perfect because it shows how far we've come in understanding each other. As they stood watching the stars together, Daniel realized something important. In the vast universe, different species might start as strangers or even enemies, but with effort and openness, they could become something unexpected. Friends. And in that unpredictability lay humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy.